Simpsons?
I do, and it took me a while to realize that Ryan was quoting Flanders. With that, I thought, he's being a silly
So
American.
wait, you hear Oakley Dokley, and you don't think of The Simpsons?
That wasn't my first thought. No, that was not
What
my first thought.
what was your first
Ryan's
thought?
being a silly American.
That I've lived in Central PA for too long, and I'm starting to pick up the local lingo. That's what he was thinking.
Is that the local lingo?
No.
I don't. There's a few guys at work that whenever they get mad at people, they go, "That's so and so," and they actually say it like with like an angry like tone behind it. It really takes a lot for me not to snicker a little bit when I hear it.
I would just do it. They're being silly. They deserve it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this.
Do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And today, our mission, if we choose to accept it, is the 1996 film Mission Impossible starring Tom Cruise. Can't believe these movies have been coming out since 1996.
It's insane to me.
Yeah.
I can't believe
so
there's
many.
only 5 of them. That's
Six?
right? There's only
7 coming out. 7's coming
Yeah.
out.
Oh, there's
this year.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still a lot.
Before we get started, usually we start with we watches, which we'll get to in a second. But I want to tell you guys a story about something that happened to me and my wife this weekend at an antique store.
Oh no.
So my wife's shopping, and she hears like this RC car coming up to her, and she looks, and it's a Batmobile, and she's looking around to see what kid has picked this up to play with, and is driving it towards her. It was me. I got a remote control Batmobile, and it's awesome.
Oh, is it the Michael Keaton one?
It is the Michael Keaton one.
That is so cool.
That's why I got it.
OG.
I mean,
not
it's
really OG.
I was gonna say it's not from the '80s because it actually works.
It's probably from like
But-
99 or 2000 by the looks of
No,
it.
I think they did like a re-release of like some of his stuff to like see what happens. But I just thought that was a fun story to tell.
Didn't you tell me off podcast it has a turbo button?
It does have a turbo button. And
That's the best part of
Yeah.
it. Push it now. Push it now. I want to see.
I mean,
it fly off
it's
the shelf.
it was on. I just had to turn it off.
This could have been the best start to the
yeah.
podcast. Also, I have a quick
Would
announcement.
have shut it off.
Oh yeah, Devon has a quick announcement. Let's
Guys,
what's your
guys,
announcement?
after literal years and heartache and stress and just the worst nonsense ever, Romana is finally a U.S. citizen. God bless
Yay!
America.
And she's in the chat. Congratulations, Romana.
Is she in the chat?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I could not be more
Congratulations.
excited and happy. They did this really cool thing where they told her that only her lawyer was allowed to come. And then as she was there, they're like, and bring the families in. And none of the family showed up to be there with her. So that was great. Thanks, U.S.
Well-
Immigration.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome to America. Timing's not great, but welcome. Congratulations. Now I know this is something she's been working on for a while now, so congratulations to you. We'll have to celebrate with American food. So
Oh, I'm planning it already. Trust me. When I'm in town, it's going to be the most American celebration ever.
Hershey Park,
Hershey Park, deep fried Oreos. Oh, the works.
free chocolate.
So it's just
Yep.
so it's gonna be fast food every meal, right? It's gonna be
Every meal.
Yeah. Nice. Well, on that note, let's get into today's main, or not today's main topic. Let's talk about things we watched over the last week in our We Watch This segment. Each week we talk about things that we've watched in pop culture over the last week that weren't the topic for the main topic of the week. I am tired. Let's get into
Nailed
it.
man.
Ryan, what'd you watch this week?
So I actually watched the new season of Visions that came out for Star Wars. I was a fan of the first season. There were a few dud episodes in there for me personally, but overall I enjoyed it. I didn't even realize that they were making a second season until I saw it advertised. The first couple episodes were kind of chunky for me, but then after, I would say probably the third episode, things started to pick up. And I did this thing where I went through and I renamed the episodes for myself for little nuanced things that I picked up. For example, the one I renamed, episode 4, I renamed Star Wars with Wallace and Gromit. And episode 6 I renamed Circus Soleil, the Star Wars. So there are definite themes in them, just like the first season. A lot of the storytellers definitely infused probably the culture from their own upbringing and built a whole society in Star Wars around it. I recommend it for anyone who's really into this, like I am. I highly recommend it.
I had watched the first few episodes of season 1, but I never finished it. So I need to go through and watch these. I need to dedicate the time to do it. So
yeah,
I like that they're doing
they're
stuff
all
like
short
this,
too.
and
Yeah,
the
so
Star
that's
Wars
what I like.
universe is like wide enough to accommodate all of this and for it all to be true, and not for them
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, but it's not canon because the Jedi didn't do this. It's like, no, they can have done that.
I might
Yeah.
be wrong, but I think Visions are not canon.
Oh, are they not?
I think they're just fun little like stories set in the universe. I don't think anything in them is canon.
Well, I
Until
take back my
until
comment
until
then.
until Dave Filoni's like, it's canon, cowboy hat.
I hope he does.
He has
What
a
was your
hat.
favorite one, Ryan?
My favorite one,
Yeah.
episode 5, which I renamed Star Wars the Anime. It has to do with this little girl who was part of this like fortune telling society thing, which she eventually grows up and gets approval for a mission from the Jedi Council to go back to where she grew up and handle a situation that she thinks will finally end the war between the Jedi and the Sith. And a young Jedi Padawan was sent on his first alone mission to like watch over her. The story, the animation, the theme behind it, I really like that one. It's hard because I got 3 that I really loved from this season, and that's episode 5, episode 7, and episode 8.
Okay. I mean, that's good though. It means they're spreading them out well.
Yeah. And I think the longest one is like 22 minutes.
Oh, it's perfect.
So I mean, they're all short stories, which works. And I would say almost all of them have different artistical styles, except for like 2. 2 of them is definitely stop motion animation. One's more Tim Burton-y, and the other one's more British feeling, which is the last one, which I renamed PBS Presents Star Wars.
Phenomenal.
All right. Well, let's move on to the animated project that Devon watched this past week. Devon, where are you going to take us this time?
Guys, we're going down to South Park. Now, listen, I don't binge watch seasons of anything. I just don't. I watch one episode and I'm good. I am going through Frasier at a frustratingly slow pace. I have seen every episode of South Park, season 26, in one sitting. And the reason I did it isn't because the poop jokes are good, but it's because it's so incredibly poignant. Every single thing that they talk about in this season, they tackle the real life problem of toilet paper, the toilet paper industry, and the real impact that it has on our society, on our emissions, on all of our culture.
Is this the most current season?
It is.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
It's only like 10 episodes, though, right?
I think it's 6. It's 6
Okay.
episodes. So
That's.
I don't think I'm brave for having watched a whole season of this. It was 6 30-minute things.
I don't. You don't have to worry about that.
But no, some of the episodes are just phenomenal. The show is so good at commenting on these real life things that people are dealing with right now. There's a whole episode dedicated to somebody answering his girlfriend's texts by putting it into GPT and then pasting what ChatGPT says back to his girlfriend. And they have and she's pouring her heart out to this guy, and he's just ChatGPT send, ChatGPT send. And what that does to your relationship, it's incredible, guys. And then the back half of the episode's written by ChatGPT.
Okay.
I saw a clip of it in one of the previews, and it was like a Butters type character, and he made the comment. He's like, "She won't stop texting me," and then he opens up ChatGPT, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's gonna be a good episode."
All of it, it's so like weirdly good. Like it's all poignant commentary. It's all I was completely blown away from the first episode to the last one. I recommend it. Please, please, please watch it if you have any interest in social commentary. I still think that South Park is incredibly relevant, especially kind of tackling a lot of the major issues that it does. And I just like any kind of commentary in any of my shows. Give me all of that, please.
I don't have a graphic pulled for this, but it's relevant, so I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Okay.
I'm up to date on The Simpsons. I think I may have missed an episode last night. They did not a COVID episode, but they did a COVID episode where it's like
weird.
the town gets infested with like caterpillars, and they have to go on lockdown. They did a lockdown episode.
Wow.
So I'd recommend that because it's a lot of Homer versus Flanders, but also like Lisa struggling with staying at home and Bart thriving in virtual classes, but not like classes, just like spying on Skinner. It's a lot of fun. The weird thing though, like something weird's going on with the voice cast of The Simpsons. Like the Simpsons are still right, but Mr. Burns sounds weird.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know if like Harry Shearer's like I need to take a break. But they have like a temp voice and he doesn't sound like Mr. Burns, like excellent. It sounds more like excellent. Like it's weird.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Ew.
I did not watch anything besides The Simpsons. I did not watch anything animated. I did, however, watch the Ben Affleck film Air, starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Did you go to the theater to see this?
No, it's on Amazon Prime.
Whoa.
So I watched this yesterday morning because I was like, you know what? I want to watch this. So I pulled it up. It's really good. I really enjoyed this. Ryan, I know you're not a big basketball guy, but I think you'd appreciate the sports side of this movie a lot.
Because
it's a lot of inside baseball, but with basketball.
Yeah, but Air. That's the one about Nike, right? Like,
yeah, it's about the
Nike startup for Jordans.
Yeah, about the Air Jordans. So.
Yeah. So I figured it would be more. I figured that it would be more about like sports industry and like marketing than it would be actually about the sport itself, which I'm interested in because Jordans are a huge phenomenon.
Yeah.
Do. Okay.
Phenomenon.
Sorry.
Did it?
Dude.
Yeah. What I really like Ben Affleck as a director, and one thing like. I think he learned a lot from working with Kevin Smith so much because there's a moment in this movie that is like a Kevin Smith moment. Like there's a moment where a character goes off on this whole tangent to like this big long speech. And I'm like, that's a Kevin Smith moment. Like I think Ben Affleck movies are better than Kevin Smith movies. Like between Argo and this and like they're way better than like Yoga Hosers. But I think you learned a lot from him, like a lot of valuable stuff. And like I'm really excited to see this director's cut of Jersey Girl at the end of the month because I want to see what. Like I feel like that's the film that he learned a lot on because right after that he went on and directed his own stuff. So
I'm really curious how different it's going to be. I cannot wait for you to do that. So my view of Air is that it's basically Ford v Ferrari but with shoes. Am I wrong?
No, not entirely.
Okay.
It's kind of that, but it's not so much. Yeah, it's kind of that. Yeah.
Hey, I like that movie. I know I'm gonna like this one. Like I'm already primed to like it.
Yeah. And I kind of like the release structure of we're gonna put it in the theaters for about 2 months, and then put it on Amazon Prime. Like, if you want to go see it in the theaters, you can, but it's gonna be on Prime here soon because it's an Amazon Prime movie. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Aren't they doing the same thing with Mario? Isn't Mario getting like home release in like the next week?
If it is, sign me up.
I think so.
I'm gonna get a can of peaches and just watch it.
Why not mushrooms?
I already have the mushrooms.
Yeah, no, Devon, I'm siding on Alan with this one.
Oh, listen, the Mario Brothers movie drops today on Amazon at 12 a.m. Eastern time.
To buy or to watch? It's to buy.
Holy
probably.
cow! For $30, you can buy to watch it.
No,
that's crazy.
How about to rent? Was it like 25?
You probably can't rent it yet.
Oof, Amazon, what are you doing?
Hey, I pay for Peacock Premium with my internet, so I'll wait for it to be on there.
That's fair.
So, all right, that brings us to today's main topic: the 1996 film Mission Impossible, based on the TV series Mission Impossible, that later goes on to create a whole franchise of Mission Impossible movies that are still going on to this day. So we're going to talk about that and more now. Devon, this is your pick. Take it away.
So, like Alan said, we are talking about the last major motion picture to be released in Betamax video cassette format. We're also talking about the first movie to have released in over 3,000 theaters across the U.S., and a movie that has been described by Rotten Tomatoes as 3 words: confusing, boring, and slow. That's right. It's Mission Impossible. Guys, I've seen this movie. I didn't realize that I could remember every beat of this movie. I remembered every beat of the movie so well until I watched it again and went, yeah, okay, I remember all of this nonsense. And I think, Ryan, you've seen it before, and Alan, you haven't. So we'll start with Ryan. Ryan, what is your history with the movie?
I watched this movie to death when I was younger.
Okay, good.
Because it was on repeat on HBO. Like, it was on, I would think, maybe every 10 hours on either HBO 1 or 2 that they had it. So between that and having the VHS, and I haven't seen it since I was maybe in high school. And I have to admit, it was a Mission Impossible to rewatch this movie. Not because I don't like it, just because, Devon, like you said, this movie, like, as soon as you know this movie, there's no point in needing to watch it again. And it's difficult. Difficult.
We're going to have to talk about it because, especially if you've seen any other movie in this franchise, this movie's real different. So, for having never seen it before, Alan, you said you've seen Ghost Protocol, right?
Yes, I've seen Ghost Protocol, and the only reason I saw that was because they showed the opening scene from Dark Knight Rises in IMAX. It was with you. Like, we went to, because I remember us both being hyped to see it, and we were like, what did Bane just say? Because that was before they cleaned up his audio.
That's right.
So I've only seen Ghost Protocol, which is the 4th movie in the franchise.
I think so.
I own most of them on Blu-ray.
Oh.
I have not watched them yet because I figured we'll probably get around to them on the show. Having said that, like, I've never seen this movie before, and I knew every beat as it was coming.
Did you really?
Kinda, yeah. Like, I feel like I had heard somewhere what the twist was, and I was like, okay, like, and we'll get into that later. But I want to talk a bit about how I watched this movie before we get into this any further. Because, like I said, I own it on Blu-ray. I have them here behind me. But I messaged you guys over the weekend to ask, what is the best way to watch Mission Impossible from 1996? Do you remember what you said?
My answer was, under threat of being fired or killed from your employer for being framed for killing another employer.
Which, spoilers,
sorry.
Ryan, do you remember what you said? Yeah. I bought it on VHS because, as you mentioned, this is from 1996. This movie's 27 years old, so I bought it on VHS. But not only that, it's a Blockbuster Video VHS.
My favorite bit is it still has the Be Kind Rewind sticker on it.
And you know what? I watched this last night at my computer on my VCR, and then I went to shut everything down. I was like, no, I have to rewind. So,
did you have to click the stop button and the rewind button to rewind it real fast? Oh, good.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I'm glad that's still how that works.
Yeah. So I watched this on VHS, so it was very poor quality, 4:3, not the actual aspect ratio. but
Oh,
I
God.
think it added something. Like, there's no better way to watch Emilio Estevez in anything than on VHS.
That's fair. By the way, did you guys know he's uncredited for that role in here? He's not at all listed in the credits as his character.
Huh.
It took me a while because I knew who that actor was. So I saw him and I was like, "You're gonna hate me," but I went, "Oh, Charlie Sheen's in this."
That
And
always
then
happens.
I looked up Charlie Sheen Mission Impossible and got funneled to Emilio Estevez. And the
His
reason that
brother.
is that his brother?
You didn't know that? Yeah,
No.
Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are brothers.
They didn't have both the last name Sheen or Estevez, so I went, okay.
It's
Did we have this conversation before?
No,
Okay.
keep telling your story, and then I'll tell a different go off on a different tangent about
Oh,
this.
I just realized that he was, or I looked up why he's uncredited, and it's to make it more of a shock and more of a twist. His role in the movie, which we'll discuss later.
Yeah, he's promoting a film that stars his father helped work on as like an executive producer, and he was just on the Today Show talking about how disappointed his grandfather was when Martin Sheen had his first big role in the marquee. It said Martin Sheen and not I forget what his first name is, but Estevez. Like, he changed his name for the stage, and it was always kind of a heartbreak for his grandfather. The film that he is promoting now, that his dad was an executive producer on, is the first time he's used his birth name in the industry.
Wow.
So,
well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
What's the movie?
I will look it up and let you know.
Yeah, say plug it.
Yeah, keep talking and I'll look it up.
I just hang things. You got Estevez and Charlie Sheen confused?
Yeah, I did.
Are
you disappointed in me?
Yeah.
Brothers.
It took me a while for me to because I mean, this happens. You guys will mention actors' names, and even though it's someone that I like, that's a name that I know, my brain turns off because when you said that you confused it for another actor, I didn't even hear you say Charlie Sheen because that actor that was in this, I always thought that it was the coach from Mighty Ducks.
It is.
Okay. And there's
good.
an actor that I always get confused with him, and that's the actor from now I just forgot that. I can't believe this. Time traveling DeLorean. I mean,
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. I always get him and and the one in this movie confused.
Wow.
I always get those two crossed.
Okay, I'm a little bit shocked, but you know what? I get it.
So when you said like Charlie Sheen, my brain was turned off because I thought you were talking about the guy from Back to the Future, not Charlie Sheen.
Totally fair. So I was wondering from both of you, how does this movie hold up as an action movie in a world where John Wick 4 just came out, and in a world where like that's kind of the standard for action movies that are coming out? Was this still a fun and enjoyable watch, or was it kind of what Rotten Tomatoes said? Because you kind of see this arc, right, in Rotten Tomatoes reviews. I spent a lot of time on there today because I have no life. Kind of prior to, I'm going to say 2010 almost, a lot of people love this movie. This is the gold standard for an action movie. This is great. And then kind of post that, you start to see opinion of it slowly start to turn to the movie's boring, the movie's predictable, it's not very action, the set pieces aren't big.
I feel like that has to do with a generation coming up who is seeing this as an older action movie, and compared to like me and you guys, like I was 11 when this movie came out. So to me, this is like a formative movie getting into my teens of this is an action movie. I'm finally allowed to watch movies like this. So this is where the starting point is type deal. Even though I've seen like Jurassic Park and all that stuff before then, like, there was a different tone to these movies. Yeah. And so like, I feel like people our age looking at this going, how could people say this about this movie? It was one of the best action movies of like the mid 90s. And it's like, well, to someone who's in their early 20s, it's just an old action movie.
hot take. This isn't an
Yeah.
action movie.
Interesting. All right. What do you think?
I think the Mission Impossible movies have become action movies, and there are action elements to this. This one's a spy thriller. That's what this is. Like, this isn't an action film. There's like two big stunt sequences in this. One that was practical, and one was like definitely a green screen train thing.
What?
Yeah.
Are you?
But like, I think what this franchise has become is like John Wick style action, and that's what people come to expect from these movies. So when you go back and watch this one and it doesn't fit that tone, I think that's why. Like, it's something different. It's more because this is based off of a TV show that wasn't an action show. It was a spy show, and that's what this is. This isn't like the Tom Cruise stunt of the year show. This is a spy thriller with action elements in it that the films, as they go on, just become crazier and crazier to the point where Tom Cruise is going to jump out of the space station and come back down to Earth.
You know, I think I can agree with you on that, because I think this series, more than any other one, does a really interesting job of moving with the times and changing to what is expected of action movies at that point in time. So like Mission Impossible 2, for example, which we will be watching soon, very different tone from this one. I think Mission Impossible 4 feels like a Bourne movie a little bit, because those were what was popular at the time. Like they almost change what genre or like type of action movie they are depending on what's popular at the time. And I think that's fascinating, to like take a character and kind of, or like a set of characters, and let them move through these genres so well, I guess, because these movies almost unanimously do well when they come out. Like, they're not panned, and they're not treated like the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for not choosing that franchise to go through.
No, that's my own personal walkthrough. I am going to start doing that, and I'm going to tell you about every movie and we watch this. That is genuinely my plan.
Oh
Man.
I can't wait.
Because I mean, you've seen them. You started watching those at 4 or 5.
What? Fast and Furious?
Yeah, you started
7.
watching. Okay, so you haven't seen them before 7.
I watched a little bit of Tokyo Drift when it was on TV and went, ugh, and then picked back up again at 7.
Okay. Because oh my god. Because I like the first 3. Like, I am a huge fan of the first 3 FF movies. I'm just gonna call them FF movies.
Perfect.
The first 3 are great. I watch them occasionally, even now. Those are the ones that I want to talk to you about, because I couldn't care less about after 3, because they turned into a much. I am not a fan of the whole modern, like, Bourne movie, the modern Fast and the Furious movies. Like, one of the reasons why I said action movie for this is because, like, this is to me where, like, they start, and then they get more actiony from there, and then you get to a point where it's just fight scene after choreographed fight scene after fight scene after fight scene. I'm like, I want some suspense in this. It just enough bullets flying. Like, give me some arguments. Give me some.
So then I have a follow-up to that then. How does it feel to be wrong? How does it feel to be wrong?
I'm confused. I'm never wrong about these things, so I'm kind of confused.
I'm just being mean.
I know you are. It's fine. It's like, I've seen half of a Bourne movie, and I was just totally not interested at all, because there's a Jackie Chan movie that's the exact same premise that came out in the late 90s that I was like, this is just Jackie Chan's Who Am I?
The Tuxedo?
The Tuxedo.
Is it Tuxedo?
It's the Jackie Chan movie. It was a joke.
Oh, got it. So do you guys see then elements of this movie that leaked forward into other movies? Because like now we talked a lot about how like the genre's changed since this one. Do you see that, like, oh, clearly, you know, I don't know, I can't even think of another action movie.
Later on a few years after this, like, there were elements pulled straight from this movie used in Charlie's Angels. because
Yes.
for some reason I watched that a lot as a kid.
Me
Must have just
too.
been on HBO. Don't know why. But like the whole sequence where they have to go in and steal the thing with the like. It's not as it's played for laughs in that more than it is
Mhm.
here. But I think this has set up the trope of what a heist is in a spy movie like this. Like there are elements of it, and I feel like even story wise, like I've only seen Ghost Protocol, but I feel like story wise, it's the same movie over and over every time.
Yeah, it is. Every plot is Ethan gets accused of thing. Ethan has to clear his name. Ethan goes rogue to clear his name.
I'm waiting for the next one to be like, guys, we've done this 6 other times.
They become self-aware.
Yeah.
Not self-aware. I think he should, you know, what's the quote from Batman? If you live long enough, you turn into the villain, or something like
yeah.
that.
You either die or hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
The next Mission Impossible movie should be Ethan blaming someone else for being for being a mole, and he's doing the mole hunt, and then he ends up being wrong and has to swallow his pride. Like that's see, it's like it's that whole thing that like he never actually learned the lesson that he learned 5 times over.
I think the Batman quote that they've been using in pre-production for all the Mission Impossible movies since this one has been, you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts, because of all of the different stunts that he's done, and there's a little bit of that in this with the restaurant scene, like that that was definitely him, and I feel like that was like the first hit of adrenaline for stunts that he got. He's like, oh, I could do more of this.
Well, they made a big deal on the facts of this movie of saying that this movie came in vastly under time and vastly under budget because Tom Cruise offered to do his own stunts for the movie. And they were just so proud of that. So this is really where he gets his start.
Yeah, there was a show on Discovery Channel in the mid to late 90s called Movie Magic. And again, when other kids were watching and aged into the Disney Channel, like Devon, I aged into watching the 3 educational channels that were on cable. And one of the shows was this one, and they went into like how blue screens and green screens worked, and they would have like a documentary crew on sets of movies, and this was one of them, and they did that restaurant scene with the gum and the glass exploding and everything else, and it was real funny. I don't know why I have such a vivid memory of this, but watching them load the fake fish into the tank before it blew, and showing him like you had the guy that was tied to the pull machine that pulled the guy through the glass, and then Tom Cruise running out, and then as he ran out, when he reached a certain point, that's when the glass went above him for no apparent reason. Like the aquarium on top breaks as well. After everything else had broken. But yeah, no, that was one of that was a cool episode of that show where they talked about this specifically, and they were showing that Tom Cruise was like doing his first major stunt of his career on that, and he was getting like pumped up for it.
Oh, that is so cool. I love to see that, like the beginnings of those, like just what he essentially becomes nowadays is just like the actor that does his own stunts. It's so cool to see where that started.
Yeah.
So what did you guys? So I've seen a lot of the later Mission Impossibles, and in it they basically make Tom Cruise a superhero. Going back to this was incredible for me because he's not really a superhero in this. He's just like a dude caught up in some stuff and is trying his best. How was that for you guys?
I mean, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise at this point to me, so I was like, okay, yeah, this is little baby Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Because he looks so young in this compared to like
he really does.
Maverick and whatever he's doing to his face now. But yeah, it feels like the start of a franchise. Like you start off these characters that this character, and then you just see him evolve over time to the point where he's superhuman. But yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have that same thing?
He definitely. I mean, he wasn't a superhero, but he was definitely
Super
superhero
spy.
level. Crap! Now the word just threw out of my head. Observant.
There you go.
His being able to like remember the type of knife that that the French Foreign Legion guy from the 1997 Godzilla movie was holding, and the Bible being from the hotel and putting that together. And one thing about this movie too that they did that I saw going forward in some other movies is that if you're looking in the background, things become very apparent. So on their first mission, and they go into the embassy, and you can see that there are specific people staring at them the entire time. That comes up later. I've seen that in other movies since, but he, just like Alan said, it definitely fits before at the start of a franchise. I feel like he progressed in these movies the same way John McCain does in the Die Hard movies.
Yeah.
Like it's like the character starts off as just being like one of the world's best spies and one of the world's best just beat cops, and then turns into like super cop and super spy like by the end of the end of the movies.
Yippee-ki-yay, L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
All right, bye. He did it. Oh, he literally just walked away. He's gone. He's off the podcast now. Great. So I did want to talk a little bit about that first mission because Alan's still not back. He's still genuinely gone.
I think he probably had to pee, and that was his way out.
That was a good way out. Well done. I'll have to do that. So I did want to talk about that first mission because Ryan, I think of anyone here, you'll be able to clear up one of my mysteries of Mission Impossible because I've been confused about this since I was a little kid, and I watched it again and am still confused about it.
Okay.
So in the first mission, which honestly is my favorite part of this movie, where they're trying to find the seller of the knock list.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's team slowly gets killed off.
Yeah.
I am impressed at how long you were gone, by the way. You can help me answer my mystery.
Okay. I can explain why I was gone so long if you want.
Why were you gone so long?
My DoorDash order arrived, so I was like, perfect timing.
It was something. I figured it was something like that.
Cheers.
Well done. So I was talking about the first mission being my favorite part of the movie, and in the first mission, Tom Cruise's team slowly gets killed off one by one. I have a mystery of this movie that I don't understand.
Okay.
How does Emilio Estevez's character die? Because it shows that he's going up an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
It shows that, like, John Voight made spikes come down off of the elevator shaft. And then he gets deep-throated by an electrical cable? Is that what happens to him?
He gets stabbed by the claw thingies.
But it looks like there's a big mass of wires that goes right into his gaping mouth.
So it's not wires. This is something that I've noticed myself, and I've always just ignored because
good.
I think I'm at the same point that Devon is actually at, and I've always threw it up to maybe like a cut scene, or they couldn't get effects right or something. So, like Alan said, there are these spikes that like come down. I don't know what purpose they serve. I'm not a mechanic that works on elevators. I don't even know if those things even exist. But anyway, but anyway, Emilio Estevez is on top of the elevator. It's going up, and these like spikes come down, and he's looking up. And as he's looking up, there's also this silver thing that looks like it was blown apart, or like it broke off, and it's longer and a different color than the other spikes.
Yes.
And they show it enter his face for like a split second, and then it's just like the sound of that crushing his skull, and everyone on the team hears that and sees that his camera on his glasses goes offline. So they just put two and two together. I always chopped it up to it was probably the mechanism that was holding the spikes in place, and it was sabotaged in some way, and that bar that broke is what got him, and not the actual spikes. That's what I always just assumed it was, and I never cared to actually find out.
Alan, was that your read of it too?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was
I
very
think
hard to
it's
see
most
in the.
recent.
It was
Yeah.
very hard to see in the grainy, wobbly VHS tape version of this.
Well, I was
I
wondering
watched-
if the scan lines made it more clear.
No,
I-
scan lines make
I
nothing
watched-
more clear.
yeah. I watched it on Paramount Plus, so I had a crystal clear view of that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
exactly the same. So as the movie goes on, we slowly start to find out that the Mission Impossible agency is now framing Ethan for having killed all of his team. And what he does next is he goes, well, I guess I'll go work for the bad guys then. And trying to process the movie as a little kid, I was like, of course he does. But as an adult, I was like, that's a weird way to go about this.
It's not that he wants to work with the bad guys. It's that he's taking the information that was handed to him basically during his exit interview, and then uses that to try to track down like what he was talking about to figure out what was actually going on, so he could eventually clear his name. I don't really see that as like, well, fine, the United States stabbed me in the back, so I'll go work for this, whoever. I don't see it that way. I
didn't take it as like a revenge thing.
Yeah, but I see that as there was no other possible way for him to handle that situation unless he wanted to like go rogue and like use his training to like live anonymously somewhere.
He's pretty much becoming a double agent. Like he's infiltrating
Gotcha.
the bad guys to like clear his name.
So then this brings me to my other favorite part of the movie, guys. Early 90s email. Where did we go wrong?
Just the internet in total with this movie.
Oh, good.
It's so bad, and there are so many things said by the characters. He's like they're talking about a signal, trying to see if there's a signal being broadcasted from the laptop, and Max goes, "Oh, it just might be the CPU heating up." What? What's that? What's that all about? And then that nonsense about the AI safety computer chip.
Oh my gosh,
thing
don't you?
for his it's so
the
bad.
writers
Like,
were like, the nerds will never know the difference.
like it's so it's like, I am not a computer person. I've helped a friend build a computer once, and I work on Pennsylvania State lottery machines. I'm a hardware tech. I don't do software. And even I know that all that stuff that they said in this movie was complete BS. I was laughing this time watching because I was finally catching that stuff.
It's so good.
My favorite thing was internet user IDs, and like just a long list of every internet user at the time.
I have to say that scene made my eyes hurt. So like, of course, I mean, for people who are watching the video, I wear glasses, and I'm not nearsighted or far. I'm not near or farsighted. I have astigmatism, so looking at a computer screen without my glasses or phone makes my eyes hurt. So when they were focusing in on Tom Cruise with his eyes real wide and then like looking at the screen, it made my eyes hurt. And actually I have a headache because I was rewatching it before I got on here, and I got to that scene. Like it was painful for me to see him with his eyes like just open as wide as they could go, staring at the screen. I'm like, oh my god, that hurts.
So then, speaking of computers, we then pivot to Tom Cruise assembling his new team, and we get my favorite character of this entire franchise, Luther. Guys, Luther is the best. I think Luther is the best character. I love him. I love his ethos. He was specifically cast because that's not what you expect like a hacker to look like. You expect him to look roughly like me, pretty nerdy, probably more glasses. Give me a few more minutes, Tom. I'm hurrying the best I can. And it wasn't that, and I love Luther. He's just the best for me. What did you guys think?
I'm glad that he's the other part of this franchise that carries over into other films.
Yes.
So, is he in all of them?
Yeah,
Or
oh
does he
yeah.
miss a few?
I don't think he misses any. I think he's in all of them.
That's good.
Cool.
So then I'll just kind of skip forward because we're pretty low on time here. Tom Cruise finds out that all of this ended up being a plot by John Voight. And that was that he was Job. He was the one he was looking for through what I think is the dumbest reason. And it's because John Voight decided to take a Bible with him all the way from Chicago to London and then leave it around. I don't understand why John Voight did that.
Because he didn't think that it's one of those it's like the one thing that this movie hinges on is Tom Cruise is Ethan looking up and making the connection of Job 3:14 and having the realization and the background knowledge of his life to know that that could be a Bible chapter. There's a lot of people that wouldn't put that together, and it just so happens that. Are you pointing at yourself that you're one of those people that wouldn't catch
never
that?
would have. I would have been like,
Okay.
I would have been like AM or PM.
I feel like it's more to kind of take the heat off of him. Like if he disappears and can frame Ethan for everything, then no one's gonna be looking for him.
Yeah.
But Ethan's smart enough to get around that and like have it to the point where he has to intervene again. So
I don't know. For some reason, for me, just like finding that Bible, I was like, that's pretty convenient that he would need to do that.
Whenever they go from Job to Job, all I could think of was the line in Mrs. Doubtfire, "I am Job." Like, I knew going into this that John Voight was the villain, so it's like waiting to see how he connected the pieces. And the Bible
you knew that already?
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh wow! How did you know that?
The internet and
That's fair.
maybe John Voight in real life. But besides that, I have one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we never really people forget about this with Mission Impossible is it's based on a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
guys have any connection to the TV show at all from the 60s?
My
I
dad
watched a
really
few
liked
episodes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a trend in the 90s of just making TV shows into movies, and I watched another one before watching Mission Impossible because, like I said, I have my VCR set up. I can watch movies easily on my computer, like on the same screen that I'm looking at you guys on. So I watched 1994's. Any guesses? Which one I watched?
94, and it was
94.
from a TV show.
Yes.
It wasn't Man from U.N.C.L.E.
No.
No, that came
But
much later.
that one is wonderful, and I've never seen Man from U.N.C.L.E.
What about Avengers?
No.
No,
Brian,
that came
you wanna
later.
guess?
That wasn't 94.
That's coming to my mind was made in 2008, so I know it's not Ed.
What were you thinking?
Get Smart.
No.
Oh.
No. I watched the Flintstones.
Like I said, it's too late.
And oh man, I remember loving this movie as a kid. There's so much I didn't understand back then. But I don't have as big of a I don't know the Flintstones as well as I know the Simpsons, but there's so much the Simpsons takes from the Flintstones that the Flintstones movie recreates.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like his boss not knowing his name is like the big thing, and then like it's all based off of the Honeymooners, but whatever. It was an interesting watch, and I got to thinking about TV adaptations in the 90s. So, I think this one's my favorite. So.
Really? So this is your favorite TV adaptation over Mission Impossible? Flintstones is your favorite over Mission
From
Impossible?
the 90s, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they didn't make McDonald's glasses for Mission Impossible.
I can't think of any other TV adaptations in the 90s, honestly.
Charlie's Angels.
Oh, yeah.
The Avengers, like Ryan said. Addams Family.
Oh,
that might be a good one. That might
be the best one.
Casper.
Still
Wild Wild West.
Oh. Have
There's
you seen that one, Ryan?
Okay, so for me, that list goes. My favorite is Addams Family. My second favorite is Wild Wild West, and then my third favorite's Casper, and then it's the rest of them.
Is Mission Impossible included on this? Is this still lower than those movies?
Oh, that's like 4. Mainly because I haven't seen this movie since I was probably like entering high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched it again, it's just certain movies. As soon as I know what's going on, they drag for me, and it's like it's hard for me to keep going, to keep watching them. And so I don't like Mission Impossible is a good movie. I like it and everything. It's just I don't know if I could ever really watch it again until I'm like in my 70s and I've forgotten the whole thing. So it's like 4 on that list, 4 or 5.
Would you recommend that somebody that wants to watch the latest one that's coming out this summer, would you recommend they start here and go?
I need to rewatch the other ones before I answer that. Yeah,
Ryan, we will.
Oh, I know.
I feel like I heard something about this new one that brings it all the way back to this one. Because I
John
think
Boyd's back.
Emilio Estevez is back. You never see his body.
That's true.
You never see his body. I just like to think that he did this instead of being the coach the whole time in Mighty Ducks 3. Anything else from Mission Impossible?
My last thing I wanted to mention was the superhero line in any action movie, right? And this happens just before he defeats the bad guy. This happens famously in Die Hard before he shoots him off the building. It's Gary Cooper, asshole. Like, I love it. This one has the funniest version of that, I think, of any movie, where it's just Tom Cruise shouting, "Red light, green light," and then he blows up the helicopter. It's just so not cool, and I love it for that.
Yeah.
But it's the most practical.
It is, though. Like, he's not doing a one-liner. He's telling him how his explosive device works.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, let's talk about my pick for next week. I went on a journey today, guys. So today I was listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Okay.
And they had Javier Bardem on, and he was there to promote his upcoming film that is the live-action Little Mermaid. And since he was talking about it a lot, and I was like, okay, well, I don't want to admit this about myself, but there's a movie I haven't seen that I need to have seen by now. And since they were talking about it a lot on the podcast, like, you know what, now is the perfect time to do this. So in honor of me listening to Javier Bardem on the show today, we will be watching No Country for Old Men.
You've made me so happy. Oh,
I
love this
I've
movie.
never seen it. You guys haven't picked it yet, so I am forcing your hand. That is what I am making us watch next week.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, that's my pick. Javier Bardem and Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men. Did you think I was going to say Little Mermaid?
I was thinking it was going to be the original Little Mermaid, and I was going to laugh at you for doing a Devon and doing a Disney movie, but no.
I thought
it's a Coen Brothers movie, my other favorite thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gotcha. That's my pick for next week. It's breaking the mold a little bit, making, like, you guys, we've been doing the show for a few years now. You haven't gotten to it. Forcing your hand. Make me watch it. I'm making us watch it because I've never seen it. So,
Have you seen it, Ryan?
Yes.
You sound thrilled.
Totally.
He loves
We're gonna
Coen Brothers,
fight
you know.
all next week. I can't wait.
Yeah, so that's my pick for next week. You can find us here next Tuesday, our regular time. Sorry about throwing everyone off with a Monday night, but it threw me off too because I'm expecting to be able to go watch Ted Lasso after this, but I have to wait a whole day. You can watch us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, please. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com, to check out our show and all the other great Rumrunners Podcast Network podcasts. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And happy birthday to friend of the show, David Krumholtz. We'll see you next week.
Of course he knows who we are. Are you kidding me?
Who is that again? Oh,
He's what happens if you draw Oscar Isaacs from memory.
gotcha.
Oh, her reaction made it worth it. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Oh, I love it. Okay, let's get this done. All right, you get going. Yeah, I got to go out to Edinburgh. When is con? Oh, okay, cool.
The worst month of the year.
Are we doing a live show like together Tuesday that I'm in town? The Tuesday after Hershey? Because we could do that, and then we could do like what we did before if we wanted to do like pictures or just like sit down and chat about like programming and shit. That would be awesome. Okay, sure. I mean, we got time. What did you order? Gotta know. Oh, well done. Oh, well, you go enjoy that. Oh, nice. You guys got pretty far. Cool. Later.
See.
Bye.